Oh, boys. It is time. It is time. I hope this is working. I had installed a new graphics card, and some of my settings have been a bit weird, but I don't know. I think it's okay. Let me just tweak that. So, boys, this is going to be, finally, my updated Rift Barbarian. Now, if you guys remember this is probably the first and the highest viewed video on my channel, I think. I made a Frozen Orb Barbarian. It was just a showcase, didn't even have, like, a cam or a mic at the time, really, and I just pumped a showcase out, and it went quite well. It has a bit of a sweet spot with me. I think it's quite fun, the idea of the bits that I kind of chucked together, so I wanted to go through it, do some testing. So I have done some testing, and this, I think, is the newer and improved version. There's not many things we can change to it. It is quite limited because we're putting elemental as a focus on primary or physical damage output character, which is the Barbarian. So I'll go through my choices of gear and how I have chosen to optimize it, and then I'll show you what you guys think. And then I'll show you one of my favorite theory crafted builds. Okay? So we're on 99, this is here edited character. We've been doing a lot of testing, so there's going to be some scuffed bits of gear, so suck it up, mate, I don't care. Strength is 75. We do have Enigma. We have another variant, which I'll show you in a second, but plenty of strength. Easy. Move on. Dexterity, put a little bit of excess in here just to bump up some attack rating, but, I mean, really, we're kind of fine. 11k with Frenzy. 10k with Double Swing is not really a problem. Vitality is okay. We do have some plus skills on Switch with our Hodos, so we can get our Battle Orders to bump that up a bit more, so that is fine. And then energy is nothing, really. Okay, now we're moving on. Skills. Now, we have points into the following. Let's start on combat down here, okay? So, Double Swing we're going to be using as our primary. We are double hitting. Some of you might be wondering, okay, why we're not using Frenzy as our primary, because Frenzy is actually slower. So we're going to be using Frenzy to bump up our attack speed, run speed, and then we're going to be using Double Swing as our main dealer, so we can kind of proc all your Frozen Orbs, which we're going to get from our Rift, as well as some fun from Voice of Reason. We'll get back to that in a sec, okay? 1 into Leap Attack, I don't always use it, but in case I switch out Enigma and do something else, which I'll show, then I've got that option to still maneuver across terrain and things, okay? Combat Masteries. Now, we're focused on Mace Mastery. It is a lot easier just to have 1 across the board. No, we're not going to use Doom. Doom is shite, okay? Mace Mastery bumped up. 1 point across these Masteries, as you usually always see on most Barbarian builds. It's kind of worth it, right? Now, Warcries is slightly different to the last one. So, we have 1.1 wonders across the board, maxing out Battle Orders, but then we are also putting extra points into Warcry as a leftover. You don't need base 10. This is just a 99 character, so I have excess in here. 1 point is fine, boys. If you even get like a Barbarian Helm with plus to Warcries, chuck that on, because we want to hop in there and stun when we're teleporting in, and then we can slap, boys. Okay? That's the aim. Make it safe to do the dirty shit. Okay? Now, Mercenary is a little bit scuffed at the moment. I had to switcheroo some gear. So he has Infinity. That's his main setup, right? And then Might. Currently got G-Face and Treachery because I was mixing some weird variants, but that's beside the point. Infinity, Might, Mercenary. Okay? Just picture that he has an Andes and a Fortitude on there. Now, I want to go over my gear. So, the main 2 bits is we've got a Rift as well as a Voice of Reason. So, I've done a lot of testing of dual Voice of Reason and then dual Rifts, and I've come to the conclusion I prefer this and this. Reason being is the Rift is where we're getting the stronger Frozen Orb proc from, okay? So 16% of the time, that's going to be proccing. I had one of these paired in my first version with a Doom, and my Doom was my main physical damage, and this was getting the elemental damage. So I wanted to try and even that a little bit, and use the benefits of both, and I feel like this is a little bit smoother when paired with the Voice of Reason, okay? So we get predominantly the better elemental source of damage from this. We have magic damage, fire damage, great stat boosts, and the Frozen Orbs with a big chunk of attack rating. Very good, consistent, well, reasonable attack speed for a base of a Rift. It's not bad. And we have that as our main hand. Now, Voice of Reason. I chose that because a Scourge is not only a great high physical damage base weapon on its own, but it also has a reasonable fast attack speed, so it kind of matches the Caduceus in a similar range. Now, what it does have is it still gives us more Frozen Orb procs, which are a little bit lower. It gives us 18% chance to cast level 20 Ice Blast on striking. It is just a boom, just straight out the front. But it does help with a little bit more crowd control when we're slapping boys. So have that as well as Warcry. It's pretty decent, actually. I kind of like it. This gives us a big chunk of physical damage to demons and undead, which is kind of noticeable when we're pairing it with something like this, Laying of Hands. Because when testing other variants, I found out that it kind of lacked a little bit in the physical damage front, so I wanted to bump that up further. I like these gloves too, because they're blue and I feel like it matches, right? Now, higher physical damage coverage gives us a bit more cold damage, minus enemy cold resistances, which is pretty big, because we can't get too much of that. It also gives us Canopy Frozen, which frees up our ring slots, okay? So I'll show a few other bits of gear first, and then I'll get over the jewelry, because they've got some variants there. So Gore Riders for more physical damage on knocking down shite, okay? And then we've got Enigma in here, and the Amulet. I've chosen to go with High Lords for now, more deadly strike, more physical damage, and then you saw Laying of Hands, 350% damage to demons, which is pretty poggers, boys, okay? Now, across here, since we're doing Enigma, we want to try and meet a reasonable cast rate, so I've got 20. We want to, our breakpoints we're trying to meet is either 20 FCR or 37. So you can take your pick. We can swap out this if I'd like to bump up my teleport frames a little bit more. That's up to you, boys. But I would say minimum 20, and I'm happy with that, okay? Now, for my rings, I've got Attack Rating and Leech with resistances. Leech I found is quite important with this build. So I went with these rings here. If these had FCR on them, that would be ideal, okay? So FCR, and that's going to reach over 37 frames, and then everything else. But for the most part, I'm happy with this as placeholder jewelry to kind of show you, and we'll just settle with the 20 FCR lower frames, okay? I could easily swap out High Lords and pick up some more there, but I feel like that kind of suits what we need. Now, another option we can shift around in terms of gear is something like this, which you guys probably remember the look of, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? So if you get a jeweler's full plate mail of Nova Shield or something else, maybe an ancient armor of Nova Shield, that is going to match the look of Nightwing's Veil, and you look like an absolute Chad. But this gives us a lot more elemental damage. So if you don't mind dropping Enigma, then you have this absolutely brilliant option to go for. But I'm going to switch back out here, and I'm going to go and kill some staff boys. Now, I don't have Arcane Sanctuary. I do like going there. But let's hop over to a few other places. On Switch, I have Hodo. I have my Phoenix just for a little bit more sustain. Who really cares? The Phoenix is just... It doesn't matter. It's not really part of the build, boys. Okay? It's just for, ease of testing. Since I have Enigma, let's change my W to my teleport. Here we go, boys. Slap a couple of dudes with Frenzy, and now we can double swing. Density's not too good here, I know. Frenzy up. Once you got your stacks up, we are kinda good. This is currently players 1. The Laying of Hands with 350, as well as the 350 from Voice of Reason, is fucking awesome. I really noticed those two. Another combo that you can kind of use here is your Drax. If you get your Drax gloves for life tap, that does suit this quite well as well. I was doing that with a bit of testing, but I preferred the higher damage to demons with more consistent life leech, assuming you have that from rings, and then you're kind of good to go, boys. Let's kill this bozo here, and we'll move on somewhere else. You don't need to use Warcry. You can save your points there and put them into something else if you'd like, but I find that I feel a lot more safer hopping in and dealing with different types of mobs and farming different areas. And whenever I try and theorycraft, I want to try and make a build that I can farm different places, because I kind of enjoy that, really. Let's go City of Damned, because it gets a little bit messy in here sometimes with different mobs. And then we can, you know, see how we deal with that. This would be more of a place I would use my Wicked Guy, I think. I can't quite remember which mobs here are immune to cold. But let's see if we can find something. Ah, here we go. My mercenary is dying because I don't have Andes or Leech on him. Rip Bozo. Yeah? I'm going to see if I have an Andes to chuck on him really quick. Because I might have something. I might have something spare, boys, that I can give him. No, I do not. He can suck it up. I'm going to go to Jamila. Greetings. And then I'm going to go to Chaos Sentry. Now, if my mercenary dies, I apologize. I'll just go back home. But I showed this in my first one, so I feel like it's only fitting that I should come back for the Rift Barbarian. The Frozen Orb Barbarian 2.0. God, Decrepify as soon as I enter. That makes the build look shit, doesn't it? Oh, yes. Okay. My physical builds struggle to look good in here. So the Decrepify sucks balls, man. There we go. That's a stun before they can cast curses. And then we can double swing away. No, Decrepify. This would probably be a good area to switch out something like your Drax to make sure you've got even more Leech. And just drop the Laying of Hands. Definitely an option. Depends on, you know, what you currently have with your gear setup. Yeah, let's clear some of these before we proc Decease. Man, Decrepify's anti-proc build, it sucks. Better forget about my Phoenix though, so I can use that a little bit. I know Chaos isn't the best place to show it, but I do feel like it's a nice bar for testing that I do outside of these videos as well. And since I did do it on the first one, it feels right just to test again, you know? And people do wonder, oh, how does this hold up in more common areas that people farm? And this is definitely a common area that people farm. I mean, I could just show spots in Act 1, and it's going to look fucking amazing. You know, same with a lot of other shitty builds. Because there's not as much stuff being thrown about in, you know, places like Act 1 compared to this. Here we go. Small charm, no one cares. Now, I'm going to switch out to my full plate mail. I'm going to buff up again. Alright, let's go. Get my frenzy stacks up. 83% chance to hit. Looking pretty good. Not bad, boys. Look at that sexy boy, he's pretty good. Since we got the cute little plate on, I'm going to hop over somewhere else just to finish off, just to show you this, because it is so cute, boys. Oh, it looks so good. Let's go over to Outer Cloister. Hey. Everyone loves Tomoe Highland. Although it does kind of suck. It doesn't get terrorized, you know? Oh. Dangerous frozen orbs with this. We've got minus 20, plus 20, plus 20 on there, minus 5, and then don't forget minus 24 there. So if we go look at the stats down here, boys, plus 40, minus 49 cold res. Okay. Such a fun build. Such a pretty build as well. A little bit difficult to gear on the higher end, and if you were going to farm more consistently, then I would absolutely recommend an Enigma. Just so you can teleport around. Warcry gives you a lot more survivability to play around, you know, positioning the mercenary too, but yeah, a lot better for sure. I would say this can go up to about P4, P5 if you're geared on the higher end like this, if you're doing split farming, but other places if you're doing just solo Chaos Sanctuary and setting that bar, you know it's going to fall off a lot quicker. But yeah, I'm going to leave you boys with that. This is the Frozen Orb, Barbarian 2.0. Rift plus Voice of Reason is pretty poggers. See you boys.